Alright, Jets fans, I've talked about fixing the second line center position in a lot of different ways now, with a lot of different teams and trade partners. I've talked about it with Pittsburgh and the possible trades that have been brought up there. I've talked about it with some other trades as well with Montreal, but I want to take the time to talk about something that I haven't touched on recently. I made a video right after the pandemic started, maybe about a month into it, talking about what the Jets could do in the offseason, because at that time we really didn't know if we were going to get a season, and the offseason technically had kind of begun at that point. And I kind of talked about what the Jets could do in free agency, avoiding trades, just looking to build within free agency with the cap space that they have. And there's one player in particular that I look at in this year's free agent class that is not a defenseman, that is a forward, that I think can actually fit our forward top six group really well and help benefit them and push them into being a better competitive overall group next year, and be a little bit more offensive, a little bit more fluid, and have better chemistry. And the player that I'm talking about is a center from Finland, and of course he has to be for the Finnish Jets, and that is Mikael Granlund. Now, if you automatically, a lot of people right now are like, Granlund, yeah, he's technically one of the better center free agents, but is he going to be an overpay? And I want to take a time and talk about why I actually think that Mikael Granlund could fit on the Jets perfectly, and why actually the fact that the reason that even though he's kind of been down in his productivity recently in the last few seasons, I want to explain why I think that is, and why I actually think that he could still be a great fit on Winnipeg, and why I think Cheveldayoff might actually be looking at him a little bit more closely. So without any further ado, let's jump into the video. If we go look at Mikael Granlund, obviously, if you don't know who Mikael Granlund is, he was originally drafted by the Minnesota Wild in the first round in 2010, 9th overall, so it was a very, very high pick and expected a lot out of him. And if we go and take a look at his first few years in the NHL, he wasn't that good. In his first year in 2012-2013 in the NHL, he played 27 games, putting up 2 goals, 6 assists for 8 points. Then you get into the year after that, where he had 8 goals, 33 assists for 41 points. And then the year, you know what I mean? Like, he went up. He was a good player. And that's usually what we see from rookies, especially guys like Granlund and that player in that center role. They usually have a smaller role in the bottom 6, and then they get that boosted play, and they get the better points and whatnot. But what really interests me about Mikael Granlund is when we get into the look at his 2015 season going up to the 2017 season. And like, bear with me right now. In the 2015-2016 season, he in 82 games, which is a full season, which is great, he had 13 goals, 31 assists for 44 points. His highest point total yet in the NHL, and his most amount of games played as well. Pretty good year for a young guy. The year after that, 81 games. He had 26 goals, 43 assists for 69 points. Pretty good. Year after that, in 77 games, he had 21 goals, 46 assists for 67 points. Year after that, 15 goals, 34 assists for 49 points. That was his last year in Minnesota, I should say. But the thing is that he didn't finish the year in Minnesota. He was traded at the deadline to the Nashville Predators in return for Kevin Fiala. And we all know who has won that trade now when we look at it in hindsight. But at the time, it was seen as actually, a really, really good move for Nashville, bringing in a really good center who's put up a lot of good offensive points and is a good two-way guy who can fit their mold. Unfortunately, it didn't work that way in favor for Nashville. In 16 games after being traded to Nashville, he only had a goal and 4 assists for 5 points. In the playoffs, he played 6 games, put up a goal and an assist for 2 points. Not very good for a guy you're going after to pick up to have in the playoffs and help you be a deep team. The year after that, he played 63 games in Nashville, putting up 17 goals, 13 assists for 30 points. Now, that is obviously a huge drop in production to where he was in Minnesota, and that's where this video gets interesting. When I look at the way the Nashville Predators played the last 2 seasons, their offense and everything, I didn't like it. I didn't like their power play. I didn't like their penalty kill. They had a lot of flaws in their open ice game. They weren't offensively that, fluent, I would like to use that word, I guess. They didn't have a lot of chemistry, it seemed like. A lot of the guys just didn't fit. Duchesne didn't have as good a seasons as you'd like to see. And overall, it just wasn't as good of a fit offensively for the Nashville Predators in the last few years. But I think that Mikael Granlund, on the other hand, is still a very good player who's just kind of been thrown into a system, kind of like what happened with Kyle Turris, and is just not fitting well with that Nashville offense. The fact that Mikael Granlund actually has had some down years, I think is actually really beneficial. I think if the Winnipeg Jets play their cards right, and depending on what the market is for Granlund, and depending on how many teams are willing to overpay, I think that he might be looking to take because right now when we look at what he's currently making, he's on a pretty big contract. He's at a contract worth $5.75 million, and he's obviously expiring. So do I see him going up from that? If it was still the offense he was putting on for Minnesota, absolutely. But since he's declined, I don't know if he gets a massive long-term contract with a team, or even, a 5-year contract with a team that pays him pretty, like $6-7 million, $6.5 roughly. I don't see that happening. I see Mikael Granlund looking at a team looking for a prove-it deal, maybe like a 2-year deal worth like 4.5 or something like that. A little bit less money from where he's been at because of his decline in his production, but overall, because of that, I think that a team could get him on an affordable contract at a bridge deal that plays better for him, because then he can get his offense going again on a new team, get some chemistry, and then get a nice big contract for himself, because he's 28 years old. So if he plays his card right and takes a 2-year bridge deal, he'll be roughly 30 when that expires. And if he's 30, putting up 60-point seasons with the Winnipeg Jets or any other team for that matter, and is having good offensive seasons, he can get another 4-year deal, paying him $6 million roughly or whatever, and get one nice big contract out of him. He's right now in his prime big contract year. This is roughly when the last contract you get given out because of age. 28 years old is pretty old, but he's still pretty good. And yeah, he could be declining because of age, but at 28 and the years he was putting up before being traded, including just in 2017-18 and in 2018-19, putting up 67 points and 50 points almost the year after, it's pretty good. And also, not to mention, he almost put up 50 points. He played less games. So if theoretically, if Mikael Granlund played in 2018, if he played more than that 63 games and was up to 77, there's no way why he isn't closer to his previous point marks. I think that he actually still has a lot of offensive upside to him in his game, and I think that he could play extremely well with guys like Nikolai Ehlers and Patrick Laine on that second line for the Winnipeg Jets. Overall, when you look at Mikael Granlund's game, he's just too good in a lot of areas that just fit what Winnipeg needs in that second line spot. He can pass the puck. Not only can he pass the puck, he's got a good shot from the slot. He can play that role of a center really well offensively. He fights in the boards. He can skate well in the neutral zone. He passes the puck well in open ice. He's everything you need for a center with two offensive guys that carry and touch the puck a lot in Laine and Ehlers. If you have a guy that can just help them be assisting and be a nice offensive touch on that line, and who has to dish the puck well and is able to play in the boards and just have a good overall chemistry with them, which I think that Mikael Granlund would, based off of experience watching him and how the Jets play and everything, I think he would fit in really well. So I do see this as a possibility in the Jets going out and getting him because of the fact that they don't have to give up any assets. When we look at the type of trades available right now to the Jets, a lot of teams, like even look, Philip Deneau, Max Domi, any of these other guys that are centers that have been thrown out and about, even in connection with the Arizona rumors about them trading everybody. Yes, they have players that could benefit the Jets. The problem is, does Cheveldayoff want to really risk trading a guy like Vesalainen, a guy like Niku, a guy even risk bringing out Hinola and other guys like that onto the board and risk trading them? Does he want to give up guys like Appleton? Is he ready to move on from Lowry? Is he ready to move on from Kopp? What are the ideas? He doesn't want to do that yet. The Jets want to compete with the best roster available and keep their futures. They want to keep enough futures so that they have enough in the cabinet to, if they turn to shit, they have some prospects and some futures, but they want to still win now. A guy like Mikael Granlund on a cheap contract in free agency that doesn't cost you anything other than cap could be huge for the Jets. Keeping every asset, going out, signing guys in free agency this year could be huge. The reason I haven't talked about free agency a lot is because we all know as Jets fans that Winnipeg isn't a big free agency market. But this year, I think because of how much money they have, how hard the cap is, and how a lot of the competing teams are really just screwed with the cap. They have no room to sign guys. Winnipeg is one of the only competitive teams looking to restock and reload for a run that has money for free agents. So because of that, I actually think that there might be teams looking to Winnipeg on the short-term side of things, 2-3 year deals, looking to come to Winnipeg and try to win a cup now because they can assemble a roster with the already skilled talent they have and with the excess money they have going into free agency. Now, I know we have to sign guys like Laine and Pionk. We can't be, strung for the next 5 years in caps, but I do think that these short-term deals, like a guy like Grunland, giving him like $4 million, $4.5 for 2 years, or even $5 million for 2 years, just to see what he can do and get his offensive back, I think this could be huge for the Jets, and I think it could be a really good move. There's no indications that this could happen. It's just speculation and free agent talk. I think that if Grunland really was to consider all of his options and look at what he would be playing with in Winnipeg and the type of money they could give him on a short-term deal, he could easily get his stats back up to a 70-point guy even. Maybe even get a new career high and break that 69 points that he set in 2016, 2017, his career high with 69. He could totally break that on a line with Ehlers and Laine, or hell, even with Scheifele, Connor, or Wheeler, or any of those guys in that top six. And him on a power play, forget it. could be insanely beneficial for the Jets, and that's why I want to talk about it. But as always, Jets fans, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you think about the signing of Mikael Granlund? Do you think it would work? Do you think that my idea of him looking for a short-term deal that is maybe a little bit less money so that he can prove himself again and make that big deal is what could happen? Do you think teams are going to go out and give him that massive contract even though he's been on the decline? Do you think he could fit well with Winnipeg? Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, if you are a brand new viewer, just came across this video browsing around on YouTube and you enjoyed it, definitely consider dropping me a sub. I do a lot more than just cover the Winnipeg Jets. They're my team, but I'd like to cover yours as well. Let me know what you'd like to see me talk about in the comment section below, and I will do that for the next video. But without any further ado, I'm going to end the video here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out, take care, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.